Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast, presented by Zwift. Triple caution, triple header. There's actually like 5 races on today. There's Gent-Wevelgem, men and women's, the final stage at Catalonia. There's also GP Industria in Argentina, but that one, I'm not sure many people watched. We'll be focusing mainly on Gent-Wevelgem, the big World Tour one-day race, whether it's a classic. But as a reminder, during this classics period, Zwift are now the named sponsor of Paris-Roubaix Femme avec Zwift, not just the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift coming to life for the first time this year. Paris-Roubaix Femme, which is in a couple of weeks on the Saturday, which I love, it being on its own day. It builds up a whole weekend of Paris-Roubaix hype. If you want to check out Zwift, the online cycling platform that makes training fun, it's worked wonders for me over the winter here in Andorra. You can go to Zwift.com for your free 7-day trial. You can try it on iPad, phone, computer, whatever. Anything with a Bluetooth connection, connecting to a smart trainer will work. Women's Gent-Wevelgem. On at the same time, it finished about an hour after the men's from Gent to Wevelgem. They don't do as many of the climbs, but they still have that same finale with the Kemmelberg, the steep side with 600 meters at 12% of cobbles, and then a flat cross headwind finish for 34 kilometers into Wevelgem. We had Balsamo here, Wiebes, Kopecky, Vos, Grace Brown, who was really good at this time last year, Norsgaard, stacked start list. I don't think we had no Van Vleuten because Norsgaard's their leader. To be honest, it's played out exactly as SD Works should have played the race, and Trek. It was like every team really did what they were supposed to do, but the wind just didn't play into their favor. Last year there was crosswind, this year just sort of headwind. Our SD Works, I don't know. Could they have done anything different, Benji? How did it play out? It was them just basically rolling attacks, trying to go clear, and Van Dijk and Longo Borghini bring it back.
Yeah, quite certainly. And I think they tried to get away quite a few times on. I think it was on the Baneberg or Monteberg that Kopecky tried to attack together with Anna Henderson of Jumbo-Visma, with Liana Lippert of DSM, and Jadoma of Canyon SRAM. So they tried left and right, the teams that don't necessarily have the best sprinter at the start line, not a Wibbers and a Balsamo, to get ahead. And Jumbo was also a very offensive team in that, just like SD Works was. And I swear that I noticed a puncture mechanical of Balsamo after the Camelberg, which was with 52 kilometers to go. I didn't necessarily see how swiftly she managed to get back, but she was back in the peloton, that's for sure. And then we saw a crash by Wibbes. So the other sprinter also had trouble. And with Wibbes crashing, it was done for when it comes to DSM, when it comes to their sprinters. So she was not going to be contesting today's victory, unfortunately for her. And we'd have to look at the best sprinter in the race at that point is on paper Balsamo. But again, other teams are not happy with that. Other teams don't want to have Balsamo winning. So Kopecky tries to go again with Henderson once again, with Lebecki, with Reusser, with Cavalli, and FDJ also trying to attack left and right. And I think on the last Camelback, we saw Grace Brown doing some stuff, right?
Grace Brown, GOAT. She's looking good. I'm keen to see how she goes in Brabants and Liège, if she's bringing this sort of form and putting the peloton under pressure, to be honest. Not just there. We then basically transitioned. She was brought back after Kemmel. Huge group. Balsamo there for Trek. Everyone's obviously terrified of her. But they got Van Dijk and Longo Borghini fully committed. So we mentioned this in the Trek preview. That pairing is not just, they got 3 fantastic riders. The way they work together, TT Champ, Longo Borghini, great one-day consistent racer, and then a fast finisher that can get over a berg, lethal combo. And attacks from Reusser, attacks from Chantal Vlindenbroek Black, attack late from Grace Brown. Jumbo seemed pretty content to go for Vos. She won this last year. She dusted everyone. They had Henderson there. But yeah, Grace Brown was the last to attack. What did you think about the Ellen Van Dijk bike path move? We always talk about this, Benji. If she gets DSQ'd, it doesn't matter because she went on the bike path, moved up all the right. I don't know if she was forced there, and she chased down Grace Brown in the last 2Ks. I guess. Anyway, I'm clutching at something interesting in this finish.
it wouldn't have influenced the race after that too much more, except for like the positioning of Balsamo into the sprint per se, because Van Dijk was honestly, from the entire peloton, Ellen Van Dijk was the MVP in this race. She has closed every bloody attack for Balsamo as leader during the entire lead up after the climbs, even on the climbs was doing work. And yeah, top notch performance. We know that she's great and she's shown it once again. But like you said, there was a lot of people attacking. And at a certain point, there was a moment where Van Dijk was even in a front group with Balsamo in the second group. And Van Dijk got called back from the front group to the second group. You literally saw her reaching for the radio and just waiting on the right side of the road and then pacing that second group back to the front. Like, incredible performance. And the question then is Balsamo going to beat the other sprinters in the group? We've got Marianne Vos looking good with a lot of teammates still. And I think Jumbo also helped out with closing down Grace Brown there with Rihanna Marcus, who tried to get away a few times as well. And we know that Kopecki's a sprinter because Lonneke Uneken has been attacking left and right as well for SD Works. And when it comes to other sprinters, who was left at that point, you think?
It was I'm having an Adam Blythe moment. Confalonieri, Capecchi, Norsgaard, Bastianelli, Anderson, Caponi, Vos, Balsamo, Ertid Solo. So she was leading out Bastianelli. So we still have a lot of sprinters, but yeah, no Vibers. And it's the women's sprinters lists are very polarized. It's a lot more straightforward than the men's, in my view. Vibers without a broken rear spoke, top. Balsamo, next. And there's like chasms between them all. In fact, Balsamo and Vibers might not be big, but Balsamo is legit quick. Vos, I think, not looking as fast straight away, and Balsamo not in the perfect position again, but she opens her sprint early into a headwind. Everyone's fanned across to the right of her, and they weren't in her wheel for that long, and we can just see Vos did not have the kick to draw level. We had Confalonieri fanning out to the right, pushing Capecchi to the right. I think Suzanne Anderson for UNOX. It was a bit of a chaos behind Balsamo. Balsamo takes the win. She won Trofeo Alfredo Binda in the World Champs bands. What an incredible signing for Trek Segafredo. What marketing. Italian World Champ on Italian team, or half Italian team, cleaning up these massive races. And yeah, she won Brugge de Panne, before in the 3 days ago. It's ridiculous how good she is. 24 years old.
Monumental, because like, let's be honest, Binda also before that, she won a stage in Valenciana as well, though 4 victories already, and it's gonna keep on coming based on this. I've said it on the Depanne recap. I think that she's a clear contender for that first yellow jersey at the Tour de France Femme, and I want to declare, probably the first time in the history of the LRCP podcast, that a complete team preview hot take section of the same podcast has been fully complete, because your hot take for Trek Segafredo women was that Dynan was not going to win in 2022. Obviously, her pregnancy helped you with that. But when it comes to the other take, it was Balsamo winning Gent-Wevelgem and the OxyClean Classic. Well, then again, they renamed it. So does that reject the hot take, or what do you think?
I don't know if it's hot. I know everyone's. You know what everyone's going to comment now.
It's not a hot take now.
We all knew that would happen. We all knew that happened. And then when I tweet, Lucas Plapp's a better GC rider than Remco. Imagine a year, everyone will be like, that was obvious. That was obvious at the time. I think meanwhile I'm getting abused about it. But yeah, Balsamo, Trek chemistry looks unreal. They got to be really happy. It's one of the teams where they all get paid, the riders, the same minimum wage as the men. So like everyone gets paid relative to other salaries in women's cycling pretty well. And does that make a difference? Of course, I don't know exactly, but it can't hurt team chemistry and people wanting to ride for Trek as well. If you can get paid more there as a domestique than you might get as a co-leader at other teams. But yeah, that was Gent-Wevelgem. Huge win for Balsamo. Vos second, Confalonieri. Big result for her. For Ceres is at third. Capecchi, Norsgaard, Bastianelli, Anderson, Dronova on the Roland Coggier squad. Persico, Coponi rounding out the top 10. Could SD Works have done anything different? I think Capecchi's got to be more Wout van Aert 2022 than Wout van Aert 2021. She's never winning these sprints. She's not winning them, so she has to full send climbs.
Yeah, but I think she did before, like,
I know she did, yeah.
yeah, she did. I think it just didn't work. And like when it comes to the sprints, I've never seen her as the top sprinter in the women's peloton. There's always been Wibbes and Balsamo and so forth. So she's that outsider type, like a Norsgaard, like a Vos as well. Vos with a pretty strong sprint at the end of today's stage as well, to be honest. And yeah, I'm thinking that Kopecky is just better for the pure cobble races now than for the sprinty times, because there's better options right now in other teams that are better there. And we thought that they would play more defensively, perhaps, that they had for Kopecky, but the fact that Balsamo stepped forward this much from last year made it that they can't trust Kopecky's sprint anymore at his D work. So Trek won there when it comes to the having a sprinter behind the scenes ready to strike if all else if the attacks don't happen.
Sometimes it's just a headwind and there's nothing you can really do. It's going to be a sprint. And that's sort of what happened today in Gent-Wevelgem women's. Otherwise, just rounding out the results, the stage 7 in Barcelona was a little bit of a fizzed out. 140k circuit stage. GC guys sort of attacked each other. Carapaz tried, and then it all came back together when Almeida and Ayuso refused to pace for each other. And Baggioli, who we haven't seen all day, the quick step, dusted Volta at Barcelo in the sprint. Ayuso coming fourth. That being a little bit boring, though, was welcomed by Igita and Bora, who did a very, very good job today, shut down the race. Igita very, very strong on all the climbs, looked completely in control, and he takes GC, a huge win for him. His first World Tour GC win at a Carapaz, Almeida, Quintana, Ayuso, O'Connor, Johannesson, Martin, and Torsten Train. Oh, and Omen came 10th. Didn't know. But yeah, good win for Igita.
Yeah, I think so as well. And like, what is it with the final stage of Catalunya and Attila Valter coming out of nowhere into the top three? This is the second year in a row that he does that. And I think it's part of the fact that he's a really good descender from his mountain bike history. And those descents, those like straightforward descents, are ones that he's really good at, apparently, because, yeah, a strong kick as well, getting second behind Bajoli here. I do want to add once again that if Ayuso and Almeida worked for each other, they could have gotten at least a podium here, quite clearly, in my opinion. And that is both sides. Almeida doing lead out for Ayuso would have worked for Ayuso. Ayuso doing lead out for Almeida would have worked for Almeida. It's a car issue in my eyes at this point. If they don't declare a leader at a stage, they can't expect their riders to ride for each other at the end.
Otherwise, GP Industria, 1.pro race, actually quite a nice race, which Bernal's competed at before. Ulysses won a sprint ahead of Fideli and Murasa, and Leroux Torangel, Buani beat Coquard in a sprint. You haven't mentioned, I haven't mentioned Lotto Sudal. I mentioned riders just then from Arkea, from Cofidis. Intermarché won bloody, and Wevelgem with Total third. Lotto in big trouble. There'll be the relegation points battle piece, the article on lanternrouge.com.au from Raul and myself dropping tomorrow, and there'll be big changes. 500 points for Germay, and the others, like Quintana, Benji's on nearly 1,000 points. Like, his Catalonia result, bit meh. And, a lot of, on my Lanterne Rouge in Espanol channel, people are, oh, Quintana went out. I'm like, yeah, but he still came like fourth. Still a lot of points.
The thing with Lotto is as well that, like, at the start we were very negative in our preview when it comes to our expectations of Lotto when it comes to making it through this season when it comes to the relegation thing. I didn't believe they would avoid relegation with the plan that they had on the table, and Ewan out of probably the most important races of the season for him when it comes to point scoring, Sanremo, the Panna and so forth, well, that's like getting a sword smashed to your wheel. Like, you're not going to ride too much longer with that. So that's not good when it comes to the points. And I still think they're fucked. As simple as that.
Yeah, they're looking in trouble, as well as Israel. EF also haven't done anything. Bettiol's sickness won't have helped. They need Uran to top 10, like the tour. Like, they need him to. Yeah, they're looking not good as well. But that was a huge week of racing. Coming up, we have the Ronde van Vlaanderen preview dropping on Wednesday night on Podcast Players, Thursday during the day on YouTube. We've got Dwaalsdoor of Vlaanderen during the week. I still don't know what its purpose is, but it exists in this World Tour.
Nobody
so
does.
I guess, yeah. Tour of Flanders next Sunday, and then straight into Basque Country. I'm going away on Tuesday, but I'll keep on podding. So you won't see the back of me yet, Benji. Hope you all enjoyed the last week of coverage, and we'll see you during the week. Ciao.